Have you ever met a man who seems perfectly into you, gives you all the right signals, but when things start getting serious, he suddenly pulls back? It feels confusing, frustrating, and sometimes even personal. But here's the truth. It's not always about you. Men fall in love differently than women. Before a man can fully open his heart, there are 5 critical emotional and psychological needs he must fulfill within himself. And if even one of these isn't met, he'll hold back, no matter how much he likes you. I know, because I've seen it happen countless times. Men stuck between desire and fear, wanting love, but feeling unready to risk their heart. Society often tells men to be strong, independent, and emotionless. But beneath that armor is a deep need for security, identity, and trust. And until those needs are satisfied, commitment feels unsafe. In this video, I'm going to break down the 5 things men need before they can truly fall in love. Some of these might surprise you, and one of them is the key that flips the switch from uncertainty to deep emotional connection. So if you've ever wondered why men hesitate, why they pull away when things get serious, or what it really takes for a man to choose love, stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll see relationships in a whole new way. Here's the thing most people don't realize about men and commitment. Falling in love and choosing to stay in love are 2 completely different processes. A man might be incredibly attracted to you. He might even have strong feelings, but if certain psychological triggers aren't met, he'll hesitate to fully commit. And sometimes he won't even understand why he's holding back. For many men, love isn't just an emotional decision, it's a psychological alignment. Deep down, a man's sense of readiness to commit is connected to how he sees himself, where he's going in life, and whether he feels safe opening up emotionally. It's less about avoiding love and more about protecting something very fragile inside his identity. From a young age, most men are taught to be strong, provide, and avoid vulnerability. Society rewards independence, but rarely teaches men how to navigate emotional intimacy. So when a man starts to feel deep emotions, it can create an internal conflict. Part of him wants connection, but another part fears losing control, getting hurt, or not being enough for his partner. And here's where it gets fascinating. Research in relationship psychology shows that many men view commitment as a reflection of their stability in life. If he doesn't feel secure, financially, emotionally, or in his purpose, he may delay or resist deep emotional attachment, even if he deeply cares about you. This isn't about games, it's about survival wiring. Love requires vulnerability, and vulnerability feels risky unless a man believes he can handle the weight of that responsibility. When he commits, he's not just saying, "I love you," he's subconsciously saying, "I'm ready to share my world with you." The most powerful shift happens when a man feels that being in love doesn't threaten his freedom, identity, or life goals. When he sees love as an expansion of his life, not a limitation, he unlocks the emotional space to fall fully and fearlessly. That's why understanding this psychology matters. It's not about changing him, convincing him, or pushing him. It's about understanding the internal journey men go through before choosing deep commitment. And in the next part of this video, we'll break down the 5 things men need to reach that place, starting with the first and perhaps most misunderstood one: self-identity and independence. This one factor alone can decide whether a man steps forward into love or walks away, even when his heart wants to stay. Before a man can truly open his heart and fall in love, he needs to know who he is. This isn't just about his name, his job, or where he comes from. It's about self-identity. It's about a man being able to answer one fundamental question: who am I without anyone else defining me? For many men, this journey begins long before they meet someone they care about. A man who hasn't established a sense of identity often struggles in relationships because deep down he feels lost within himself. And when someone feels lost, they'll hesitate to fully share their heart, not because they don't want love, but because they fear losing themselves inside of it. Here's the thing. Men are wired to seek freedom and independence. It's not about avoiding connection. It's about having the space to stand firmly on their own 2 feet. When a man doesn't feel secure in who he is, his values, his purpose, his path, he risks entering relationships where he seeks validation rather than partnership. That creates imbalance, dependency, and eventually disconnection. But when a man has built a strong sense of self, something powerful happens. He no longer fears losing himself in love because he knows his worth, his boundaries, and his goals. Love then becomes an extension of his life rather than a replacement for it. This is why you might notice that men often want to achieve certain milestones before they commit, whether it's financial stability, career clarity, or personal growth. To many men, these accomplishments aren't just achievements, they're markers of identity. When those pieces are in place, he feels safe enough to invite someone into his world without feeling like he's giving up his independence. The paradox is that true intimacy actually requires freedom. A man who feels trapped, pressured, or dependent will resist falling deeper in love, not because he doesn't care, but because something inside him is saying, "I'm not ready, I need to find myself first." This is why, before anything else, men need to stand strong within themselves. They need to feel confident in who they are, where they're headed, and what they believe in. When that foundation is solid, love no longer feels threatening. In fact, it becomes the very thing that enhances their identity, instead of replacing it. And once a man reaches that point of self-awareness and independence, his heart becomes more open than ever before. He's ready, not just to fall in love, but to stay in love. Up next, we're diving into the second thing men need, and this one is the key that unlocks emotional safety, trust, and emotional security. Before a man can fully give his heart, he needs to feel one thing above all else: safe. And we're not just talking about physical safety, we're talking about emotional security. For many men, this is the invisible barrier between liking someone and truly letting them in. Here's what most people don't realize. Men are often taught to hide their emotions from a very young age. They're told to man up, to be strong, to never cry, and to never show weakness. Over time, this creates a deep belief that vulnerability is risky, maybe even dangerous. And yet the very thing love requires, openness and trust, is exactly what men are conditioned to fear. When a man doesn't feel emotionally safe, he won't fully invest himself in the relationship. He may still spend time with you, laugh with you, and even say he cares. But there will always be a part of him holding back. It's not because he doesn't like you enough. It's because he's protecting himself from potential heartbreak, rejection, or judgment. But here's the flip side. When a man feels secure, when he knows he can be himself without being criticized, shamed, or compared, everything changes. Emotional security gives him the freedom to take down his walls, to express his fears, and to let you see the parts of him no one else does. That's when true intimacy begins. Trust works the same way. A man needs to trust you deeply before he allows himself to love fully. And trust isn't built overnight. It's built consistently through actions, understanding, and respect. It's created when he knows that his vulnerabilities won't be used against him and that his emotions won't be dismissed. Think of it this way. When a man feels emotionally secure, love stops feeling like a risk and starts feeling like a risk and starts feeling like a sanctuary. He no longer worries about being judged or misunderstood. Instead, he feels safe enough to share his world, his dreams, and even his fears. This is why, for many men, emotional safety isn't a luxury, it's a prerequisite for deep love. Without it, he hesitates. With it, he commits. And in the next part of this video, we'll talk about something equally powerful, a need that can make or break relationships: open and honest communication. Because without it, even the strongest emotional bonds can slowly unravel. One of the most overlooked needs men have before they can truly fall in love is the ability to communicate openly and honestly. And yet, for many men, this is also one of the hardest things to do. From a young age, a lot of men are conditioned to keep their feelings to themselves. They're taught that showing too much emotion is a sign of weakness. So they grow up learning how to hide what's really going on inside. As adults, this often means they struggle to put their feelings into words, not because they don't have them, but because they were never taught how to express them. The challenge here is that love can't thrive in silence. A healthy, lasting relationship is built on openness, being able to talk about fears, desires, boundaries, and even past wounds without feeling judged or misunderstood. But for many men, this level of vulnerability feels risky. They worry about saying the wrong thing, being rejected, or exposing parts of themselves they've spent years protecting. When a man finds someone he feels safe enough to communicate with, everything changes. It creates a space where he can let his guard down, where he can share not only his successes but also his struggles, doubts, and insecurities. That level of honesty doesn't just strengthen the relationship, it deepens the emotional bond between two people. Open communication also builds trust, and trust feeds intimacy. When he knows he can speak his truth without fear of criticism, he begins to feel seen and understood on a level he may have never experienced before. And that feeling, being accepted for who he truly is, can be the very thing that allows him to fall deeply and fully in love. On the other hand, when communication is missing, misunderstandings grow, little problems turn into big conflicts, and emotional distance starts to build. It's not because there's no love, it's because the connection doesn't have room to breathe. This is why, before a man can truly give his heart, he needs to know that his voice matters, that what he feels and thinks is valued. When he reaches that place, love no longer feels like a guessing game. It feels like partnership, understanding, and alignment. And that brings us to the fourth thing men need before they can fall in love. Something just as powerful as communication, but often more deeply rooted: the need to feel respected and valued. Without this, love struggles to last, no matter how strong the attraction may be. For many men, respect isn't just a desire, it's a deep emotional need. Before a man can truly fall in love, he has to feel that who he is, what he does, and what he stands for are valued and appreciated. Without that sense of respect, even the strongest attraction can slowly fade. Here's why: for a lot of men, their sense of identity is closely tied to what they provide, what they achieve, and how they're seen by the people who matter most to them. It's not about ego, it's about significance. A man wants to know that the person he loves sees him, believes in him, and values his contributions, both big and small. When a man feels respected, it triggers something powerful inside him. He feels safe enough to lean into love without fear of losing himself. He feels confident, supported, and understood. But when he feels constantly criticized, dismissed, or unappreciated, walls start to go up. And those walls aren't about rejection, they're about protection. Respect doesn't mean agreeing with everything he says or never challenging him. It's about recognizing his efforts, acknowledging his struggles, and appreciating the way he shows up. Simple gestures, listening without judgment, validating his feelings, celebrating his wins, and encouraging his growth, build the foundation for a lasting emotional connection. For many men, love without respect feels incomplete. You can care for him deeply, but if he feels undervalued, he may subconsciously pull back. On the other hand, when a man feels respected, he becomes more open, affectionate, and committed. He doesn't just fall in love, he chooses to stay in love because the relationship fuels his sense of purpose and belonging. Think of it this way: when a man feels seen and appreciated, he doesn't have to guard his heart. He feels free to show his softer, more vulnerable side, knowing he won't be judged for it. That emotional safety deepens intimacy and builds unshakable trust. And here's the beautiful part: respect works both ways. When he feels valued, he naturally wants to give that same respect back. That's when love transforms from something fragile into something lasting, something built on mutual admiration and emotional security. In the next part of this video, we'll explore the fifth and final thing men need before they can fall deeply in love. And this one is the most life-defining of them all: having a clear sense of purpose and stability. Without it, even the deepest connection can struggle to survive. Before a man can truly fall in love and give himself fully, he needs to feel a strong sense of purpose, a clear understanding of who he is, where he's going, and why he's here. For many men, this isn't just a preference, it's the foundation that shapes their emotional availability and ability to commit. Here's the reality: love requires presence, vulnerability, and emotional investment. But if a man feels lost in his life, uncertain about his future, or unstable in his identity, he often struggles to open his heart completely. It's not that he doesn't care about love, it's that a part of him feels unfinished, like there's something he must figure out before he can share his whole self with someone else. Purpose gives a man direction and grounding. It could be his career, his goals, his passions, or simply a vision for the life he wants to build. When he feels aligned with his purpose, Love stops feeling like a distraction and starts becoming a partnership, something that supports his growth instead of competing with it. Stability plays an equally important role. This isn't just about financial security, though that often matters. It's also about emotional and mental balance. A man who feels steady in his life, confident in his choices, and capable of handling responsibilities is far more likely to embrace vulnerability and open himself up to deep emotional connection. But when a man hasn't yet found his purpose or doesn't feel stable, he may resist commitment, not because he doesn't care, but because he feels unprepared. He worries about failing, about not being enough, about not being able to give his best self to the person he loves. When he finally reaches a place where his inner world feels aligned, something shifts. Love no longer feels risky, it feels natural. He's able to invite someone into his life, not out of need or dependence, but out of wholeness. That's when he can truly give, not half of himself, but all of himself. And here's the beautiful truth. When a man is grounded in his purpose and feels stable within himself, the love he offers becomes deeper, stronger, and far more enduring. He doesn't just fall in love, he's ready to build a life together. Coming up next, we'll explore something many people overlook, the common mistakes that unknowingly push men away, even when they're on the edge of falling in love. You won't want to miss this part, because understanding these patterns can change everything. Even when there's chemistry, connection, and deep care, there are certain patterns that can slowly push men away, often without either person realizing it's happening. These mistakes don't always come from bad intentions. Most of the time they stem from misunderstandings about how men experience love and emotional closeness. One of the biggest mistakes is not giving him space to breathe. When a man feels constantly pressured, whether it's to commit, to open up faster, or to behave a certain way, he may instinctively pull back. This isn't because he doesn't care, it's because love for him needs to feel safe and chosen, not forced. Another subtle mistake is constant criticism or comparison. Men deeply value respect, and when they feel like they can't measure up, whether it's being compared to someone else or having their efforts dismissed, it can slowly chip away at their emotional security. Over time, instead of leaning in, they retreat to protect themselves. Then there's the issue of unspoken expectations. Many relationships suffer when one person assumes the other should just know what they need or want. But most men aren't mind readers, and unclear communication can lead to frustration on both sides. When emotional needs aren't expressed openly, misunderstandings grow and connection weakens. Another common pattern is trying to change him before accepting him. Growth in relationships is important, but when a man feels like who he is isn't enough, it creates resistance. True connection thrives when both people feel accepted first. Change comes naturally when love creates a safe space for it. And finally, one of the biggest mistakes is ignoring his emotional needs. Men may not always express it, but they crave appreciation, trust, and understanding. When those needs aren't met, he may start to feel invisible or undervalued, and that slowly closes the door to deeper intimacy. The key isn't to be perfect, it's to be aware. The healthiest relationships happen when both partners create a balance between closeness and freedom, honesty and empathy, individuality and togetherness. When men feel respected, safe, and emotionally seen, they naturally move closer, not further away. Coming up next, we'll wrap everything together with some powerful relationship takeaways, the exact insights that can help you connect on a deeper level, avoid misunderstandings, and create a love that truly lasts. We've covered a lot in this video, from understanding the psychology behind male commitment to breaking down the 5 essential needs men have before they can truly fall in love. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from all of this, it's this. Love isn't just about feelings, it's about readiness. Men don't hold back because they don't care. They hold back because deep down, love demands something bigger than attraction or chemistry. It requires alignment, security, and trust. Before a man can open his heart, he needs to feel grounded in who he is, safe to be vulnerable, free to express himself, and confident that the person beside him sees, respects, and values him. Without these pieces, love often stays just out of reach, no matter how strong the emotions are. But here's the beautiful part. When these needs are understood and met, everything changes. Men stop fearing love, and they start leaning into it. Connection deepens, walls come down, intimacy grows, and relationships stop being a battle of misunderstandings and start becoming a partnership built on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. Here's what this really means for you. If you're trying to build a deeper bond, focus on creating safety, not pressure. Celebrate his individuality. Allow him space to grow into his purpose. Communicate openly, listen without judgment, and show that you value who he is, not just what he does. When a man feels understood on this level, he doesn't just fall in love, he chooses love. And choosing love is what sustains it, even through the challenges, doubts, and changes that every relationship faces. So as you think about everything we've explored today, remember it's not about changing him, it's about understanding him. It's about building a connection where both of you feel safe, valued, and free to be your authentic selves. That's the foundation of a love that lasts. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Not just because it supports the channel, but because somewhere out there, someone you know might need to hear this today. And let me know in the comments, which of these 5 needs resonated with you the most. Your insight might help someone else on their journey. Because at the end of the day, love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about understanding, accepting, and growing together.